Yo, it's Cowboy the Wild Boy checking the in. You watching Mile High Minute.
Minute, man.
Mile High Minute up. Yeah, that's what's going on.
Mile High Minute, man. I know it's going down, man.
Damn, yo,
Tell
shout
me
out
what it
Mile
is.
High, bro.
Mile High Minute, man. Like I told y'all, man, tap in.
Mile High Minute, #1 podcast in the universe. Today we got Archie Colgan, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me on today. Yeah.
Of course, thank you for coming through, man. I've been watching you, man. I mean, we went to the same high school. You probably don't remember me, but I was a freshman when you were a senior, and I just remember you winning state and doing all that stuff. But then I seen 3 a.m. Water, tapping with you. I was like, oh, we definitely got to interview him for sure. But let's just dive into your story a little bit. So, where were you, born?
Yes, I was born and raised out here in Denver. I was born at the Wheat Ridge Hospital.
Okay.
Lived over on like 72nd and Sheridan my whole life growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I grew up wrestling, started wrestling from like 4 years old up until, 2 years ago.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I wrestled 18 years of my life.
Since you were 4, you said?
4 years old,
Jeez.
yeah. That's
Okay.
when I started. I wasn't that good at 4.
Yeah.
And I probably got good around 10.
Is that
But
when you started to realize you could have a future in this? Around 10 when
with the fighting?
Yeah.
No, that took me. I mean, I was always.
Or just wrestling and
Yeah.
fighting in general.
Yeah, I know. I mean, probably about when I was 9 or 10, a flip switched in my head, and I was like, hey, I can actually be pretty good at this wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
So then I started taking it pretty serious, and I started doing better and placing at state, and then won state, and then by the time I got to high school, I was coming in as a freshman, ranked number 2 in the state. So
That's crazy. Yeah.
I started just really taking it serious. So
Yeah. What do you? First off, shout out the sponsor of today's video.
Shout out
3
to
a.m.
Water.
Yes, sir.
Holding it down for both of us here.
Facts. But so let's get into it. How did you really get into and fall in love with wrestling? What was that process like?
Oh man, yes.
Was your father or anyone else wrestling in your family, or did you just fall in love with it yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, a 4-year-old is not gonna really fall in love with anything besides mom and dad, right?
Yeah.
But so my brother came home, and he had a flyer. My brother's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
And he had a flyer for the local Westminster High School youth program.
Yeah.
So he brought it home to my dad. My dad wrestled in high school. He wasn't some big name wrestler. It wasn't some big, crazy wrestler or nothing. He just wrestled for fun, 2 years in high school.
Okay.
Just knows the sport.
Okay.
And my brother brought it home. My dad loved the sport, and just said, "Yeah, go ahead and join it." And anything the older brother does, the little brother follows. So
right.
I just followed him blindlessly, and I'm a really competitive person. So especially in wrestling, you get thrown around.
Definitely,
and you start to find out really young how competitive you are and how much you hate losing.
Yeah.
So, I used to get thrown around all the time, and some people at 4 years old, and they get thrown around and get beat up a little bit, you see them kind of laugh, and
they
don't really know what's going on, and I'm over there mad. So I think my parents knew from a young age that I could be good at this, and I was gonna take it serious, but
that's
a
awesome.
4-year-old doesn't really know anything.
Right. Were there any other sports you were playing growing up?
I did track for a year when I was maybe 7 or 8.
Oh,
and then I played soccer my 6th grade year, but no, it's always been wrestling.
It's always been wrestling?
Yeah.
So going into high school, did you know you were just going to stick to wrestling too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so my junior and senior year, Coach Madden wanted me to come out and play football because junior year, Dylan Carter was, the top running back in the state. So he was graduating, and he was like, hey, I think you'd be good. We should come out.
Right. But you were focused on wrestling.
I was like, yeah, man, I got knee surgeries wrestling. I definitely got knee surgeries playing football.
No, that's facts. Man, what made you want to go to Pomona? My bad, I should have waited.
No, you good. Well, it was either Pomona or Westy.
Yeah.
And Pomona has better athletics and academics than Westy. So so my parents just kind of knew that was the route to take.
Right. Yeah, Pomona's crazy with athletics, especially like wrestling, football, and track and stuff. Yeah, gymnastics.
I heard that since I left, man, they've
won like
3 state titles or something.
Yeah, I think they won definitely my senior year. I think they might have won like junior year too, but ever since then, I'm pretty sure they've just won. And even the wrestling team, I know y'all won when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
And then I think they started winning again when I was a senior. And then just since then, just keep winning. I think I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, but every time I go look at like CHSA or anything, it's always Pomona up top.
Oh man.
Or like A West, and who else is really good at wrestling?
Ponderosa.
Okay.
Yeah. Grand Junction. A West hasn't been good since probably
not anymore.
Like when you were in high school and you thought they were and they won state.
Yeah.
They haven't been good since then.
Oh really? Okay.
A West has not been that team since.
Yeah. Do you still talk to Pomona coaches, or do you ever like go back, or do you want to coach?
I do coach. Yeah.
Oh, you do coach.
Yeah,
okay.
I coach for Mile High Wrestling Club.
Okay.
It's a really big club out here in Colorado.
Yeah.
It was a club that I started in when I was in high school. So at the time, another Pomona legend was Tom Klum.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Name on the walls or anything. Yeah.
He wasn't related to the sub that was Beacon, I want to say. Beeson, yeah.
So
he was the coach,
Beeson
though, right?
was his head coach.
Okay.
Was Klum's head coach.
Yeah, I've heard of Klum.
So he was a legend, and he coached me through Mile High. Mm-hmm. And then when I graduated and I was done competing wrestling, I was like, hey, man, that'd be cool if I was the first person ever to come back around.
Really?
To start coaching again through the program. So I'm the first guy, to ever go through the program and then come back, to college, come back, and then start coaching kids now. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. When it comes to the wrestling at high school, did you won how many state championships, like personal? Just one?
Yeah.
Was it senior year?
I choked a couple other times.
Okay. Yeah. But the team, what was it like? What's the difference between you winning it personally and like the whole team winning it? Because you experienced both, right, that senior year?
Yeah. So, it was really cool personally for me to win it.
Right.
Because, I put so much into it. And I was supposed to win it, the year before that. And then it was kind of like I would have got a little lucky to win it the year before that, my sophomore year.
Yeah.
But, I was supposed to win it these times, and I just hadn't done it. So that was like a big relief off my back to finally get that done. And then it's just kind of like icing on the cake that the team got it done too.
Yeah.
Through my career too, we were like, we got second, fourth. Finally won it, something like that. Maybe it was second, fourth.
You guys really started the trend, I feel like, for Pomona was good in the past too, but I feel like you guys really started that trend of like bringing back like real dominance again with wrestling at Pomona. I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. So like the Tom Klum era, they were really good at wrestling, but then for a time there, I guess they didn't die off. No, they're always top 5 team and stuff, but we really started running it off with it, and then I think with our era came a youth program that started feeding into Pomona.
Oh, okay.
And with that is now feeding into the powerhouse you see today.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I always remember seeing like just little guys like at Pomona wrestling and stuff.
A bunch of studs too, a bunch of little kids, 3-timers now, 2-timers now, all the time. It's just common from Pomona. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. So, what made you decide to go to Wyoming for college?
It was just probably my best opportunity, honestly. So at that point, I was headstrong that I'm going Division I. I don't want anything else.
Right.
So my options then was between Wyoming, UNC, Colorado, kind of Air Force, but I cut Air Force out. I didn't want to go. I knew I didn't want to join the Air Force afterwards, so I was like, I probably shouldn't even take that route.
Yeah.
And then Iowa State, which is a really good wrestling program historically, but just financially and everything, and it just made more sense to go to Wyoming. I knew that I wasn't going to do UNC over Wyoming because UNC's program is not that very good.
Yeah.
But it's getting better, but it's not that good. At the time when I was going to sign, it wasn't that good. So it was between Wyoming and Iowa State, and just Wyoming made more sense.
Yeah. So is Wyoming? It's not Mountain West in wrestling, right?
No, we're the Big 12.
Yeah, Big 12. I thought so. Yeah. That's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
Does CSU or CU have like?
No, CSU they dropped it at Title IX.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had.
So they have more like they have wrestling programs, but they're pretty small. Like.
Yeah, so they're like club wrestling programs.
Right,
so they
okay.
can't compete in anything. It's just like, you know.
Same with like.
You two can go join it.
yeah.
Just be like part of the club
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
Just go compete kind of thing.
Is that how CU is too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What like how did Wyoming? You may or may not know, but like how did Wyoming like really become part of the Big 12 with wrestling and stuff like that?
So originally, my first 2 years there, we were part of Western Wrestling Conference or something like that.
Okay.
That's the name of the conference, and it was just 6 schools. It was us, UNC, Air Force, Utah Valley, and then North Dakota, South Dakota.
Okay.
And then we were in that for just the one season, and then after that, the Big 12s in wrestling is also a pretty small conference because you don't have like the Baylors and the stuff because they don't have wrestling programs. Yeah. So then it was just, I think they only had 4 teams actually then. I think there was just Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Iowa State, and West Virginia. Okay. And I think that was just the Big 12 right there. Yeah. So then what they decided to do was just to take our 6 and add it to their 4. So now that became the Big 12. Yeah. And then I think my junior year, one more team added, and then my senior year, one more team added. So now, I think it's 12 in the Big 12. Okay. Might even be more than that. Yeah. But yeah, that's how it happened. It was just a small. Obviously, you want to be the Big 12 and not the Western Riders. Right. Yeah. So they're like, hey, you 6 just come join us, and we'll just make everybody. It sounds better to recruit somebody. Say, hey, we're part of the Big 12. Yeah. So.
No, definitely. Yeah, I think in your bio, you like Big 12 champ or something like that, right?
Yeah. So I won it once senior year. Yeah.
Your senior year? Yeah. How was that?
It was fun, man. It was great. Yeah, I was almost the first in history. My boy, he won it.
Oh, really?
Like 14 minutes before me.
Oh,
yeah. He's 2 weight classes before me, and he won it like 20 minutes right before I won it. So we won it together, but it was dope.
Is there like there's like a team champion too with NCAA and stuff too, right? How where was Wyoming as far as like rankings or anything? Like how good were y'all compared to some of like the real top teams?
My senior year, I think we definitely got to like top 10. Okay. I think we were maybe ranked 9th, but we didn't finish that way at nationals. I think we maybe finished like number 20 or 19, something around that area. I forget what we finished. But
that's still just crazy to think about, though. Like, I'm thinking of it from, like, a perspective, like, football. Like, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like, CSU doesn't even see the top 25.
I know. That's what I'm trying to tell, like, our coaches and stuff. They don't get the love from like, the athletic department. Yeah. It doesn't really make sense because, if our football coach got his team to a top 10 finish in the country. Yeah. I mean, he's going to get some bad raises. So
I mean, Wyoming, they had Josh Allen. I know he was pretty good, but they usually don't ever, like, go top 25. Or if they might make a bowl game, but it's, it's going to be, like, a basic bowl game or whatever.
Yeah, so they can produce guys. Right. I think almost every year they're going to produce at least a guy who goes off to the NFL or something. But
so would you say, like, would you say Wyoming wrestling is like similar to CSU in volleyball? Because they usually have one of the top teams in volleyball in the nation every year, and it sounds like Wyoming's pretty good. I mean,
Wyoming wrestling is definitely the strongest sport in Wyoming.
Okay, that's awesome.
Definitely.
Do you did you think you were gonna go to all 4 years when you first went in there?
Yeah. I mean, like, before going in there, for sure. There was like never a question in my mind. But like after my first week of practice, like the difference in college practice versus high school practice is just completely
What are
different.
some of the differences?
Man, so first of all, the first month and a half of being up there is only preseason, so all you're doing is just running every day. You're not doing any wrestling at all. All you're doing is lifting weights in the morning. And in the afternoon, you guys are running miles and miles and miles. And so I just told my dad. I remember week 1, I called my dad. I was like, I don't think this shit is for me, Dad. He was like, you got to stick it out to at least the season, Archie. Like, come on. You came in to wrestle. You at least got to make it to the end. I was like, all right. Right. And I made it there, and I was like, all right, it's not as bad. It's still really hard, but
you just got to get used to
it. Yeah. I mean, it's just harder, and you know, I wasn't that mature. I thought I was mature, but you know, I wasn't that mature at the time. So
yeah. I couldn't even imagine because I remember watching you guys wrestling. Well, because I had basketball practice, and I would I know you guys would be sometimes in the top, and I just remember watching some of the practices and like the conditioning stuff y'all went through, and I was like, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, bro.
And my brother wrestled for a little bit, but he's a grade younger, so you wouldn't know him. But he wrestled for a little bit, and he
for the high school or
for Pomona, yeah. He wasn't having it. He wasn't having it. But
he didn't like it, huh?
No, he wasn't having it. He tried football too. He was more into football, than like wrestling.
Yeah,
but man, so you won the Big 12 championship, and then what was like the plan from there? Is there like a pro wrestling? I know there's the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Is there like a pro wrestling league too?
No.
No, so it's just
either
Olympics?
You start training for like the Olympics and the world team.
Okay.
Or, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you figure out something else.
Right.
Just go into the normal work life, or you pursue fighting, or something along those lines. But
do you still like want to wrestle in the Olympics or a pro team? No.
No, I mean there was so I've been graduated the past 2 years. So,
yeah.
I mean that first year I was questioning. I was like, man, what am I even doing out here? It was like I'm just living out here and back home. And what am I doing? Like just working a job. Like I'm good enough to compete with these guys.
Right.
I don't know if I'm gonna beat Jordan Burroughs. I don't know if you know who that is, but I don't know if I'm gonna beat him. But I'm like, I can compete with most of these guys. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And then, that wave kind of passed, and I was just like, it's fine for me to just move on and say I'm done with wrestling.
Yeah.
I still love wrestling so much, but as a competing athlete in wrestling, my time in that is just done.
Yeah.
And I finally, in the past year, I finally got grips with that, and and I'm just moved on with it, and I found a passion in something else.
Right. So what was that like transition into MMA, right?
Yeah.
MMA. So what was like that transition into MMA like, and what made you want to get into MMA?
Growing up, I always liked watching fighting. I was always a big boxing fan and MMA fan. I was always watching, Rampage Jackson fight. And, the wrestling team, we were really close back then, so we would always, every Saturday somebody would get the fights, and we'd always go to that person's house, and we just all watch the fights. So I always just enjoyed it, and I was like, one day I'll do it, kind of jokingly, because I think most wrestlers kind of think they're tough, and they don't really know how tough they actually are. I was like, one day I'm gonna do that, and we were all saying it, obviously, but I go through college, and then I'm still kind of saying that, but jokingly at the same time, and then I graduate, and then I'm done, and then there's just a weird emptiness. I go from a guy who hasn't taken more than a month off from being a competing athlete, and training, to being partying and just living normal life, and just be like, wow, this is what I was excited for. This was it. What am I even doing? And then I found a good coach who also wrestled at Wyoming.
Okay.
He followed. It was kind of like God saying, he followed my career. We ran into each other just at a gym out here in Westminster. Yeah. And he fought in the UFC, and we just talked for a little bit, and I was like, hey, bro, like, I kind of want to learn how to fight. If you want to, if you have time to teach me. Yeah. We just started meeting up, and we've taken off since, and haven't looked back.
That's awesome. So, there's like, I'm assuming there's like amateur, like professional stuff like that. Where do you kind of like go in there and stuff?
So I'm an amateur right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm 3-0 as an amateur.
Okay.
Ideally I would like to get 5 fights before turning pro.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if that's going to happen anymore. I'm not sure like what that move's going to look like anymore. Because, I'm definitely going to have to leave the state, because the promoter doesn't think he can find a fighter to take a fight in the amateurs at the moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So can you kind of choose when you want to go pro, or like how? Yeah. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I could have started off pro, but my reasoning is I just want to start off and get experience out there. Right. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I know I was a tough guy before fighting, but you're fighting. Right, another person who's trained to fight.
Yeah. So, you want to get some experience.
You got to figure it out first before you start stamping those, you know, wins or losses or whatever
Right,
on your
right.
record permanently. So
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it only makes sense. You don't want to go in 0-3. You know what I'm saying? As a pro, like,
yeah, no,
because that would just
you
kill
ain't
your
gonna make it
confidence.
far if that's how you start off.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
start off 0-3, man. Shoo.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
almost kissed the UFC goodbye.
Facts. So you're, I think I seen you wrestling for Sparta, right?
Yeah,
That's what they call Sparta.
yeah.
What's Sparta about? Is that just another league in
Yeah.
Colorado, or is it across the U.S.?
I think they mostly do all their stuff out here in Colorado. So it's Colorado based. The guy
Okay.
lives out in Thornton.
Okay.
And they've been doing it for, you know, a long time. They've produced a lot of guys who are in the UFC who are active right
Okay.
now. You know,
That's awesome.
a few top 15 ranked guys. And one of the guys, he's like #1 contender.
Yeah.
He's gonna fight Khabib soon.
Oh, okay.
Oh
I heard about that fight.
Yeah, so I mean, they produced a lot of good stuff, and you know, it's pretty ran. It's ran pretty clean.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty straightforward. Good people behind it, so good intentions.
That's awesome.
Good start for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know this is old, but what'd you think about Khabib when his team kind of like, you know, do what they did to
with
McGregor? Yeah.
Honestly, he deserved it, man.
Low key, yeah, he was definitely.
Like,
he had a huge
obviously,
ego.
you don't want that to kind of boil over at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Right.
And you would
was
hope
good.
that they would act professional, but all the things that he had said
Leading
leading
up
up
to
about
it.
their religion and
Throwing
you know,
I think he threw a chair at the
he threw
bus, right?
yeah, the dolly, and,
Yeah, or
and
the dolly,
he just
yeah.
talked all about their religion and
Oh, he was
made
talking about
fun-
their religion too?
Yeah, he was saying all
didn't
this
even know
stuff
that
about
part.
like the Muslim religion and all this
Jeez.
stuff. So, and those guys take that stuff real
Right,
serious,
right.
you know, and they take their brotherhood really serious.
Right.
So, you know, when Khabib's jumping the fence, his brothers are like, you know, we're all dying tonight then if we have to. You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how those guys are. So,
Right.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
So part of me is like, damn, I wish that didn't happen. But at the same time, like, you
That
should have been talking shit.
Right, yeah, yeah.
You should have been talking
No,
shit. man.
facts. I mean, yeah, I mean, Khabib he did go overboard, but McGregor went overboard first. So, I mean, like you said, shouldn't have been talking shit.
Exactly, man.
Like, oh, man. So, what other leagues are there besides, like, Sparta, UFC, stuff like that?
Yeah, so there's the other two big organizations outside of UFC is Bellator and ONE FC.
Okay.
ONE FC is like I think it's based out of Singapore.
Okay.
Maybe it's China, but it's Asian based.
Yeah.
And then Bellator is another US based big promotion, just like the UFC.
Okay.
Obviously, the biggest one, you know, most known is the UFC, but those are two other big ones. And then there's a bunch of like just smaller ones all around the place. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, you can't even name them all. Every state has their own Sparta.
Okay,
So you
okay.
can't even name them all.
Okay,
And
that
even
makes sense.
in Colorado, you know, there's 5 different
I'm sure,
Spartas.
yeah.
So
I feel like a lot of the top fighters on the world come from Colorado. You know, Rose obviously.
yeah, she
she's
trains out here. And,
Yeah.
and Justin Gaethje does, and one of my training partners, Brandon Gertz, he's in the Bellator. He's like top 5 guy.
Okay.
There's a lot of top guys out here, especially like 10 years ago when I'm not sure if you followed UFC back then, but like
Not too heavy, but
like there was a lot of good guys who were, you know, champions or, you know, top 5 guys or
Yeah.
whatever that were training out here in Denver. So
okay.
Denver has good city or good roots to it, so they just gotta.
Do you think it's just
so,
the like
right.
elevation out here?
That's probably part of it.
Yeah.
You know, you want to train at a high elevation.
Would you say that that's helped you whenever you've went elsewhere across the U.S.? If you have fought like in places with lower elevation?
I've always honestly felt like people coming up to a higher elevation, it hurts them.
Okay.
But when you go down to the lower elevation, it doesn't really make a difference. I always
Okay,
felt like
okay.
that competing. Like at Laramie,
I could see that, yeah.
the elevation was 7220.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people always say like, hey, you train at this high elevation, you go down to sea level, you're gonna feel so much better. But I always kind of felt the same.
Yeah, yeah.
But I did feel like the people that came up
Right.
to us, you know, they really felt the difference.
Definitely.
But I always kind of felt like when I was wrestling at sea level or I was wrestling in Laramie, I always kind of felt like my condition was about the same. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
don't
can see
know.
that, yeah.
could
I mean,
just be in your head, and then I was already in my head saying that's the same, and these guys are in their head saying it's better. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
And I mean, you see you know, sometimes players in NFL games coming from out of state, they'll have the oxygen mask and stuff.
Yeah, especially when they come out here.
Right.
They got to sit on the sideline and bring the oxygen.
It's
kind of funny to watch, though.
Yeah.
You see grown professional humans using the oxygen mask out there like
a
minute of play.
Definitely.
Like, what you guys doing, man?
So do you think where are some of like the best UFC athletes from, in your opinion, like in the U.S.? Are they, if you're going by like state?
I haven't even gotten that far into it, honestly.
Okay.
I can't even say that. I honestly think that it's everywhere.
Okay.
I really do. I don't think it's so much like wrestling, where, you know, that there's a specific state or region that.
I feel like
produces a lot of
Oklahoma
good
dominates
guys.
in wrestling, huh? Like
Oklahoma has good wrestling, but the top is Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, okay.
Like always. And
Yeah.
then California is good, obviously, because it's California.
yeah.
There's so many people. And then New Jersey is also really good, and so is Ohio.
Okay.
But like, I can't name that for MMA because
It's a little
I think
different.
it honestly just like people just come from different backgrounds everywhere,
Right.
and you don't really start fighting until you're, you know, a teenager, a late teenager, 20 years. I'm 25, just starting. You know,
Yeah.
So you're in 20s, you're in your late teens before you really start fighting. Or, you know, a sport like wrestling, people are doing it at 4 years old, growing up. So there's really the culture that's built around it in each state, in each region. Where fighting, I don't really feel like there's just you can go to a city and it's just like fight culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
It's
maybe
crazy.
something like Boston. Maybe them guys out there, maybe like fight culture.
No, that's crazy to think about, because I feel like, you know, wrestling is like obviously bigger growing up, but then once you get older, like obviously the money's in the UFC and
definitely.
boxing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you consider boxing or anything else, or was it just UFC you really were?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say boxing, but I'm too far behind the curve on that.
Yeah.
You know, these guys
A lot
have
of young
been,
people.
you know, as long as I've been wrestling, those guys have been doing boxing, so I'm gonna have to compete against those guys. And
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I'd rather not. You know,
Yeah,
those guys
yeah.
are really good at their specific field. Where you go to MMA, you mix it all together. And wrestlers, if you look at, you know, top 10 guys at every weight class or every promotion, you know, there's a lot of wrestlers who are successful. So I think wrestling just has a really good base for fighting. So that was why I was so adamant about that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What is some of the like adversity you faced in wrestling that you really learned from, you know, that you apply to your life?
You're not invincible.
Yeah,
no matter
yeah.
how tough you think you are. You know, I've had like 4 knee surgeries, a hand surgery.
Jeez.
You know, I think I actually broke my hand in training camp for my last fight, and then I re-hurt it again today at practice. So, I mean, you're just not invincible. You have to take care of your body, and that your mind is your greatest asset, but also your worst enemy.
Okay,
You know, your
definitely.
mind will really kill you if you let it. If you let those negative thoughts, because everybody has those negative thoughts, you know, before you compete or something like that. If you feed into those, you know, it's gonna
eat
take
you
over you. But if you also feed those good thoughts, man, you're gonna have a good time.
How much of a mental game is fighting?
I'm still trying to figure that out, but so far, I felt really good every time I've competed, and I've just been in a good mindset.
Yeah.
And you know, good for me is that I've had the heartbreaks from wrestling.
Yeah.
It's not like I just jumped into this and I was like getting lucky.
One every year.
I've had so many like heartbreaks.
I couldn't imagine
hurtful moments. You know, where my heart was ripped out of my chest from wrestling, and I was like, and I ended my wrestling career on that. You know, I was going into the national tournament ranked number 8 in the country, and then I don't place at all, and I'm not an All-American, and everybody's posting and saying I'm going to be an All-American, and I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, so my heart tripped out, and then I was like, I don't want that feeling.
That
again.
motivated you, huh?
Yeah. I was like, I know. If I'm competing again, I don't want to go through that again.
Right.
So, just figuring that out, and yeah.
That's awesome. So, with like, what's kind of like your future plans? Do you have any fights coming up, or is the COVID kind of like extending things, making it tricky with that? Or?
So I just had a fight 3 weeks ago now.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, 3 weeks. And I'm getting married in September.
Oh, okay, congrats, man.
Thank you. So I'm just keeping it. I'm just training throughout this whole time. I'm not taking a fight until after the wedding.
That's
and
smart.
Ideally, I would like to get, if I can, back-to-back fights, something like late October, early November, and then late December.
Okay.
So I can start the new year off being a pro.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can get my 5 fights done, and I can start off being a pro. 5 fights, there's no significant about it. I just my choice.
Yeah. That makes sense. You've probably listened to a bunch of, mentors and stuff who've been in this. What do you usually see? Do people usually jump to pros right away, or do they usually get their feet wet with like the amateur first?
Both actually.
Okay.
Yeah, both. So some people, especially like who have been, a competing athlete like I have for so long.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys actually just jumped right into pro, and just me and my coach were just talking, and we're like, hey, there's really no need to do that.
Yeah.
We both agree and think that I'm good enough to go pro right now.
Definitely, yeah.
But we're just like, hey, get a couple more,
a
couple more fights and get some experience. And then, once you're pro, you're pro. There's
Definitely,
no going back. The stones are set. And you got to run with it. So,
Definitely.
We want to make sure that we're getting everything right. We feel confident. And then once we take off as a pro, we're really taking off. We're not looking back.
Right. That's awesome. Man, I'm glad we got this interview in because, I really see you going crazy with the UFC, man.
Thank you, man.
I really do. I believe in you.
Appreciate it.
How did you connect with 3 and Water? You said through high school, right?
Yeah, so he was David. He was a senior when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
Did
he wrestle too?
No.
Oh, okay,
no.
okay.
Same sort of thing. He was a senior. I was a freshman. He obviously didn't know who I was really. I didn't really know who he was, but I just knew he was a senior when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
I take my first fight, and then after my fight, I win, and he just hits me up and says, "Hey, man, I own a water. I started a water company.
Yeah.
I'd like to sponsor you." And I was like, "Yeah, of course."
That's awesome.
And, it's a good cause. I love everything about that.
No, yeah,
that
definitely.
He posts and that he supports, and that he stands behind. So
yeah, and they working. I see them connect with major studios out here. Shout GBL Studios.
Yeah.
A lot of artists. They get a lot of athletes. Bull. There's a bunch of athletes and stuff too. So it's definitely a good sponsorship pickup.
Yeah, man. So what about you? How'd you get started with this?
With the Mile High Minute?
Yeah.
Man.
What made you? Because you guys focus a lot on up and coming artists and
talent
people
and stuff.
from the Colorado, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So what made you want to do that?
Man, just watching all these podcasts in other states like Cali, New York and stuff, but no one from Colorado getting love. You know what I'm saying? None of these artists or entrepreneurs on these big platforms getting love. So I was like, man, and there's no one really doing interviews out here. There's a lot of people doing interviews in other states, but there's no one really doing it out here. There were, but no one really consistent and really trying to help put the scene on the map. Mm-hmm. So we were just let's do it. You know what I'm saying? And fell in love with music from a young age, and I've always loved sports and stuff too. So I felt why not interview entrepreneurs? I've been an entrepreneur since I was 14, 15 when I was in high school selling clothes and stuff. So just really wanted to get into this space, and I fell in love with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and now we're I think we probably have done at least 100 interviews. If not, we've definitely done over 100 videos in general. But I love it. Yeah, man, it's fun.
Yeah. So what's your guys' plan?
Man,
for this? Where do you want to take this?
Just keep growing. We finally got on all platforms as far as podcasting goes. So we're on Apple, SoundCloud, Spotify, all that. Maybe a label, maybe a TV show. I don't know. There's so many different things we could do with it, But right now it's really just help the Colorado scene grow and give the talent out here a platform to, promote their brand. And but we definitely worked with people out of state too already, and we went out of state for this, and we plan on to keep going out of state, but really just build that platform for Colorado for upcoming talent to promote their brand and stuff like that. So
is this the long-term goal? This is what you guys want to run a podcast or
real estate
TV
is
show or something?
Real estate's really what I want to get into. I'm making calls every day. It's not that profitable yet because I'm really just getting my feet wet and still learning a lot. Yeah. So that's why we're still doing this. But overall, just being an entrepreneur and own multiple businesses and being stocks and stuff that's kind of the plan with this. And
cool.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. And
that's cool.
it took a year before we started making any money off it. A whole and even once we first made our first sale, it was still it took a long time before we really started to make decent money off this. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely have to work on like other things, other jobs, side businesses and stuff to keep it going. This is really like mostly a passion for sure.
Yeah.
You know. But man, well I was gonna ask, it was a good question. We'll have to cut this part out, so. What was it? I'm trying to remember. I'll just have to come back to it. What's one piece of advice you have for you know, just not UFC fighters, just MMA fighters or wrestlers, anyone that really just, you know, wants to build a career in this?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess with athletes in general, or maybe not even athletes in general, just people in general.
Entrepreneurs.
Like,
people,
exactly. Like you have to believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be time. I don't care. Like, you can listen to anybody. Mike Tyson says it.
Yeah.
Always that self-doubt's going to come in before you have to compete or before you're going to go to a meeting or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're going to say, you know, I don't know if I can actually do this, you know, and you're going to tell yourself no.
Yeah.
But what I found that helps me is once I start not believing in myself, is to look back at the people who believe in me instead of myself. Right. So like as an athlete, I can look back in my corner and be like, look, those guys believe in me. They believe in me more than I believe in myself. So, you know, I can do this. Mm-hmm. So maybe if it's like, you know, you're a working man, you say, hey, my wife believes in me, my kids believe in me, whatever it is. You know? But you just got to find that those people, the support from outside and know that, you know, it's a bigger picture than it's just you out there having to do this thing because everybody else believes in you too. So don't let them down as much as you're not wanting to let yourself down. Yeah,
that makes sense. All right, I remember the question now. So what's it like on a fight day? Like what's kind of like your routine, or I'm assuming you have a routine or something you go through, right?
Yeah, so like, okay, so you have your weigh-ins typically the day before. So it's like a 24-hour weigh-in.
Yeah.
So you weigh in, go get dinner that night because you had to cut weight to make weight.
Yeah.
And then so fight day, you know, you just wake up whenever, kind of roll out of bed. You just kind of lounge around for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's say the fight starts at 7. Past few times, I probably go on an hour and a half to 3 hours after the fight starts.
Okay.
So I'm maybe 8 o'clock, 8:30 to 10 o'clock is where I'm about to come on.
Yeah,
somewhere in there. It's just varied between the last 3 fights. So I wake up, I eat breakfast, you know, watch TV, lay around for a little bit, and then, you know, about noon comes around.
Yeah.
And then my coach and I link up, and then we go get a good workout in. Nothing too crazy, but we just kind of turn the engine on, you know, get a sweat going, you know, just get the lungs burning a little bit, and then we shut it right back off, and then we go back, take a shower, relax, hang out, and then, you know, I think they want me to report about 5 o'clock.
Okay.
If the fight starts at 7, so you come in, you check in, you go do all your medical stuff. You know, doctor makes sure you're okay.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then again, you just hang out a little bit. You get your hands taped up. About hour and a half before your fight, maybe.
Yeah.
An hour before you fight, you get your hands taped up, and then you start warming up, start hitting the pads, start moving around. You get your heart rate up again. You get the blood pumping. You get your lungs burning. You get a little tired, and then you kind of shut it back down and just relax a little bit and let your body just kind of maintain, level out.
Okay.
Then it's go time.
Yep. So who do you list? Like, let's name like 3 artists that you listen to, you know, before a fight.
Man, that's hard. Recently, I've gotten into a lot of Afro beats.
Okay.
I mean, I've always been into Afro beats because my mom, she's born and raised in Ghana. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I've always loved my African culture.
Right. Yeah.
And listen to that music. But
Shout 3 and Water.
Yeah. Exactly. But like after I graduated, I really started getting into like, you know, my Ghanaian culture and you know, the Afro beats and just kind of getting more in touch with it. And so I listen to a lot of that.
Like Planet Rock, maybe? Or that's kind of different, huh?
Yeah,
it's
so
similar,
like I mean, there's a whole bunch of songs, but like WizKid, he's a good artist. Starboy, you know, those are all good artists that I like to listen to. You know, because it gets me like a good pop. So the thing I didn't want to do with fighting is start listening to, you know, like, you know, the hardcore rock that I always listen to, that I like to listen to.
Yeah.
Because it makes me it takes me to like two tunnel vision to fight. You get too amped up, and I just want to stay. I want to make sure that I stayed loose, and I was just like trying to have fun, because that's something that I did with wrestling. I was like, I'd listen to all my songs that I loved, and I'd be too hype. I'd just get too amped. But then when you get too hype, you get anxious, and then you kind of shut down and you don't compete like you should. So I was just like, I'm just gonna have fun. I'm gonna have a smile on my face while I'm warming up.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm a little bit all over the place. Something between Afro beats and rap. I like the Revenge Joyner Lucas song for fighting wise. For warming up for my fights. Okay, I like that song too. It's a
he's a goat.
Nice
Joyner Lucas is a goat. He speaks real lyrics and has a powerful message for sure.
Yeah. But I'm a little bit all over the place on my warm-up music. I throw Michael Jackson every now and then.
Oh, yeah, no. He's a go too, for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm like, shit. Yeah. I'll throw on some Billie Jean real quick, calm myself back down.
He's probably still the greatest pop artist of all time.
Yeah, he's
if not top 3.
Me and my dad have this argument all the time. He's the best artist ever.
Okay,
My dad's like, no, you're not going to listen to Michael Jackson in 100 years. I'm like, yeah, they will. Like,
I'm sure
people
they
are going to listen
to
him 100 years from now.
Facts. No, that's crazy. I've heard of that too. I remember when I was younger, I used to just listen to like just the stuff that would make me real angry and like get ready. But then like you said, like I would notice like I wouldn't be all relaxed. I'd go in there just like too amped up. But if I started listening to some, like it would still be like my type of music, but just more relaxed and get me in a better mood, then like sometimes I would perform better.
Yeah.
I see that for
sure. Get too caught up in your emotions then.
Yeah.
You got all this, amped up and kind of rage going and tunnel vision on it.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you're just so narrow-minded that you forget.
about
like everything else that you can do instead of just like one thing.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, about to finish it up here soon with a couple questions. What's some like fighting advice for a beginner? I need some advice, look. Just like on some for like beginning stuff.
I mean, shit. Honestly, I'm still a beginner. I've only been training my hands a year and a half, so I'm still barely learning that stuff.
Fair
but
enough.
just like, don't try to rush yourself, because in the fight game, if you rush yourself, there's some serious consequences behind it.
Yeah.
You go in against a guy who's trained his hands in the past 15 years. And you're on month 3, and you think I need to take a fight.
Yeah.
Man, you can seriously get hurt.
Definitely.
You can really get hurt. So just take your time and enjoy the process. And when everything's right, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Okay. What's some goals in the in this in MMA that you're looking to reach?
Yeah. So I mean, my goals are just personally based.
Okay.
I'm not going to say like, hey, I want to be the best guy in the UFC
in
history. I'm not going to say that. I just want to be the best that I could be.
Okay.
And, in my head, my coach's head and all of that, that's really good. Mm-hmm. Now, how good is we're going to figure that out. We're going to test myself against, better guys each fight and get better and better and better. So I'm not going to say where it's going to end up, but I want to be the best that I can be. And, I think it's really good. So
yeah, man, that was like a Kobe answer, like for real. That was a Kobe answer. That was legendary for real. Like,
hopefully we look it back like 10 years from now. And I got a couple UFC straps or something.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Seriously, I wouldn't be surprised, man. Well, I think this just about wraps it up. It's already been like 45 minutes, so I don't want to hold you here too much longer.
Yeah, that went quick.
Yeah, definitely.
Shout out 3 a.m.
Hell yeah. Shout 3 a.m. Water, man. Make sure you go check out the sponsor of today's video. Go get that hydration for the go-getters. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Comment down below who you want to see next on the Mile High Minute. And hit that subscribe button when all the latest news drops. And to stay updated when all the latest news drops. Make sure you go follow Archie. All links will be in description. Do you have some like highlights on YouTube and stuff? I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, my fights are on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I have some highlights on my my Instagram and and stuff and Twitter. And
okay.
Stuff, so.
Links will all be in description. If you want, you can shout that out real quick too. If you want.
For what?
YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever.
Instagram is King_Colgan. That's Twitter too. And then I don't have the YouTube, but it's under Sparta Combat League.
Okay.
You can find my fights on there. It's 3 fights.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Any final thoughts, shout outs, any last words?
Shout out Mile High Minute, man.
Hell yeah,
Thank you
man.
guys for having me out here, and shout out Marvel Concrete and
Okay.
you know, those guys for believing in me and helping me get to you know, my dreams.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you. Mile High Minute, #1 podcast in the universe. We out.
Hey, does everybody know who Trev Rich, AP,
Right,
Tana,
yeah.
all these people are, bro? They know who these people are, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's people that people don't know. Let's shed light on the people that people don't know.
Okay.
I was a videographer, bro. Nobody knew me. You know what I'm saying? I had to really work hard.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? That factors too, though.
Right. Well, who are some of the people you think, we need to